In the database package, open the SleepDatabaseDao file. Create an interface called SleepDatabaseDao, which has been created for us already. All DAOs need to be annotated with the DAO keyword, so let's do that. And we import AndroidX room.dao if it isn't done automatically for you. Let's start by getting some data into our database. We are going to add an annotated insert method for inserting a single sleep night. To insert an item into the database, we need two things: the insert annotation and a function definition for an insert function that we can call from our code. We are going to call it insert, though you could call it anything you want. We also need to specify what we are going to insert as a parameter, which in this case is an instance of our entity class SleepNight. During compilation, Room will generate code to turn this passed-in Kotlin object into a row of values for the database. So, when we call insert, Room creates the row from the entity object and inserts it into the database. After we insert a row representing a sleep night, we want to be able to update it, for example, with a new end time or a sleep quality rating. Almost the same as with insert, we use the update annotation and add an update function and pass in the entity that we want to update. When we update it, it could be that in this new object only one value is different, or all of them, except for the key. For the rest of our operations, we'll have to write SQL queries because there are no convenience annotations that do the work we want done. For example, database read operations need to be annotated and implemented with the query annotation. Let's write a query to get us a specific night based on its key. We start with the query annotation. Let's call the function get, pass in the primary key, and have it return the corresponding table row as an instance of SleepNight. And then we add the SQL query as a string parameter to query. In this query, we instruct the database to select all columns in the daily sleep quality table and return the rows where the night ID matches the supplied key. Because the key is unique, this will return one sleep night or null if there isn't one. Notice the where part of the query. Night ID references the column in the database, and parameter name on the other side of the equal sign is how we reference a parameter from the function. So here, this is key. Now, a cool thing is that Android Studio checks our query for syntax errors and typos. So if we add a typo, it is flagged as an error. Or if we reference a column that does not exist, Android Studio also shows an error. We are going to add 3 more queries. First, we want to be able to clear the database by deleting all rows without deleting the table. We could use the delete annotation, which allows us to delete a specific entity and do the work of choosing in our code. This is not very efficient. Or we could use the delete annotation and supply a list of nights, and the function would return the number of rows actually deleted. The drawback of this is that we need to fetch or know what's in the table. So this is great for deleting specific entries, but not efficient for clearing. Since we don't care what's in the table, let's just delete everything. We can do this by using a query that deletes everything in the table. We define a query with the query annotation and associate it with the clear function. The SQL query uses delete from and names the table without a where constraint. So every row is deleted. We also need to be able to return all the rows in the table so that we can then display our full set of data. So instead of one entity, we want to return a list of sorted entities. Here's the code. Let's take a closer look. We have the query annotation, and we are mapping it to a function getAllNights. Now, there are a couple of things here to notice. In the query, we are using order by to sort the results by the night ID. We cannot assume that the nights are in the table in the order inserted, as this is not guaranteed, but the generated ideas are ascending. In our getAllNights function, let's look at that return value. We are getting back a list of sleep night, which is expected. However, it's actually live data. Now, this is one of the amazing features of Room, that we can get back live data. Room makes sure that this live data is updated whenever the database is updated. This means that we only have to get this list of all nights once, attach an observer to it, and then, if the data changes, the UI will update itself to show the changed data without us having to get the data again. This saves time, code, complexity, and most likely a couple of debugging hours on top. It's my favorite feature of Room. Our final query returns the most recent night by looking at all nights, ordering them with order, and returning only one indicated by limit 1. And because we sort by night ID in descending order, it's the one with the highest ID, which is the latest night. The return type, sleep night, is nullable because in the beginning and after we clear all the contents, there is no tonight. Let's run our code to make sure things are in order. This is a good practice. Even though we can't see any changes at the user level, a lot is happening under the hood.